So apparently my parents talk about a lot of heavy stuff on their podcast. Listen at your own discretion. Like, comment, subscribe, and share or whatever. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
Everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm Ryan. This is Jess. We are sober as fuck. Before we get to today's guest, do want to remind everybody to please like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Share. We are available on every single, what would you call that?
Streaming platform. Anywhere you
there.
Get podcasts.
Anywhere. My God, you can find us.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be distracted, but I have some important information about our guest pulled up on my phone. I'm not texting, and I will forget if it's not right in front of me.
There you go.
Anyways, we also have a fantastic website that has undergone some major construction. We heard everyone's feedback, and so Noon is no mo. We killed Noon. It's dead. She's gone. And we're solely focused on the Sober as Fuck podcast. So now it is at safpodcast.com. If you still go to the Noon website that everybody knows, it'll redirect you. So no worries. You can actually access the podcast there and watch it. We have some new merch. I have some new stuff rolling out, blogs, all sorts of good stuff. We have coaching on there. So we have a lot of really amazing coaches who you can sign up to start seeing. What else? All the things.
And our monthly challenges.
Monthly challenge.
Yes.
So it is middle, end of February, something like that. So we are in the thick of the Fit as Fuck challenge. And then for March, I got a little nugget. I got a little nugget that I'm going to be putting out there for a challenge for March.
Nice.
It's going to be great. Okay. Do I get to bring in the guest today?
Yeah, but before we do that, I do want to remind all of my NA beer drinkers out there that if you enjoy NA beer and you like athletic like I do, you can save 20% on your first order. Just use the code RyanStew20. That's RYANSTEW 20. There you go.
Good job. Go buy some NA beer.
That's right.
Make us some money, people. It's for a good cause.
Yes.
So our guest today is super special.
It is.
To both of us. But
yeah.
For me especially. So we have Andi, who is our guest. And I met Andi, way back in the day, I think when I was probably in high school, junior, senior of high school. And my first memory of Andi is going to some house with my brother. Who knows? I have no idea. And him saying, "Hey, come over here and smoke a bowl with me and meet my friend Andi. She's a singer. You guys will get along great." And I've always known her as Singer Andi since then. And you even refer to her as Singer Andi. Mm-hmm. She has a band here locally in Knoxville, specifically Lenore City area, but she goes everywhere, called High School Reunion. She is a fucking fantastic performer. Her voice is incredible and amazing, and the fact that we've never sang together blows my mind. But she's a way better singer than I am.
And I actually met Andi before I met you.
Mm-hmm.
She used to work at a restaurant that I frequent and drank a lot of beer. Andi was always she's the sweetest person in the world. She lights up a room. She's always smiling. And we happened to run into her. I don't know if it was probably right after I got sober or right before or something like that. And it's just really cool to hear that, she's been on this journey as well for 4 years.
A long time.
Which is really cool. So,
and she reached out to me when she saw my brother got sober, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sober too." I love seeing that community come together. So we'll let her tell her story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So 100%. Here she comes. Andi.
Hey. Y'all are making me feel so special over here.
You should feel special. You are special. Are you kidding?
Oh,
I was so excited.
Why have we never sang together? Just
I don't know.
We're gonna have to remedy this,
We are going to have to. I think it had something to do with us like not being sober, and then I met this guy, and then I had a baby, and you got married, and you had family, and life happens. But yeah,
Life.
I would love to sing together.
Yes.
You have a fantastic voice. So tell us, before we get
Thank
started
you.
about your sober journey, tell us a little bit about your band, where you guys perform, all that stuff.
Okay. Well, my band, as you said before, is High School Reunion. And we've been playing out for a little over a year and a half. We actually are playing at the Wild Wing Cafe. And so this, it'll have already passed by then, but this coming Friday, we're playing at the Wild Wing in Powell. And then we're going to be playing at the Wild Wing in Farragut, which just reopened. So this one's kind of like a homecoming for me, because I worked there for so many years. I'm really excited. I'm really trying to build that one up. So I don't know what they offer NA wise yet, but you should probably hit them up and tell them to get some athletic going.
I will.
I
always do.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, most places are like, oh yeah, we have Heineken and Bud, and I'm like, ugh,
Gold.
Yeah, no thanks. But anyway, so yeah, we're playing. We've got 40 gigs lined up for this year. Last year we played 26. The year before that we played like 20, I think. So we're really getting our name out there and starting to play more. We play at Calhoun's in Lenore City. We play at 35 North. We just had our first show at Wild Boar Tavern up off Emory Road, and that was great. We had a great turnout. The staff was great there. And I'm trying to get into more places. We do Tennessee Tap House. Who knows? Just I don't have a website yet because that's just not my forte. I know you all understand a little bit about that.
Yes.
But I have a Facebook page, High School Reunion. Often you can search High School Reunion Band, and it'll show up, and I'm in a yellow dress singing. So give us a follow and come check us out.
Absolutely. And we will include your all your socials and all that stuff in the description as well, so people can find you. Trust me. We will definitely advertise you. So Andi, tell us about your sober journey. You're the first guest we've had who I've known before, during, and after. So this is, but I don't really know your full story.
We need all the details.
Right. I know. And gosh, it's like, I was just telling my husband this morning, I'm like, I've been sober for over 4 years now. October 19th is my soberversary. And I talk about being sober, but I don't tell my story really often, But I mean, we can go as far back as to when I first met you, and oh my God, girl, I was doing meth. Crystal meth.
I think I met you in a meth house, actually. Just to
say
that.
Life happens. But I when I quit doing meth, I started drinking, which was normal and okay by the public. And I've always worked in restaurants. I still do, as a matter of fact, still a bartender. And we actually have an athletic on draft, so that's cool.
Nice.
But anyway, so I quit doing the hard drugs and started drinking because it was normal, and for years it was just what you do. You get off work, you go out and have some drinks with your friends, and then you do it all over the next day. And then as I got on into my 30s, and I'm married and I have a kid by now, and life starts throwing curveballs and things get a little bit harder. And so I'm not just drinking with my friends anymore. Now I'm like, shit, I need to drink because I need to just take some of this weight off. Like, it was just so heavy, like my husband and I went through a custody battle over his son, and God, I do not recommend that to anyone. That was literally the hardest 3 years of my life. And yeah, it was awful. And I was drinking heavily during that time, and I would start on this, like, I would see other friends posting about their sobriety, and I'm like, that looks nice. That looks like they're getting their shit together and doing something good for themselves. And I'm like, oh, maybe one day. And then I started doing Whole30 in January of 2017. And so that was my first, like, 30 days off of alcohol. And so if you're not familiar with the program, it's an elimination diet, 30 days, no grains, dairy, soy, legumes, sugar, and alcohol. And so it's a reset, you know. And I was like, I really want to do this. I feel like I need this. You know, I was bloated and I was always so puffy. And I was like, I just want to, you know, see what happens. And I did it. I did 30 days and I felt great and I loved it. 30 to day 31, cracking it open, you know, and also back to eating all the things. I did not follow the plan the way you're supposed to. I'll tell you, my stomach was not happy with me after on day 31. But anyway, so I knew I could do 30 days, you know, and then I did that every January for several years. And I was 1 year, I even went 60 days, and I was like, okay, I can go 60 days without alcohol. And at that point, I mean, during all this time, I've lost friends. Like, I had lived in Michigan for a little while, made one of the best friends of my life. Her name was Lindsay, and she was everything. And I miss her so much. She's been gone almost how many years? 12 years? Oh my God. Like, where are we even
Wow.
at? Where is the time? Almost 12 years. It'll be 12 years this year. But you know, what do you do when you're struggling like that? You sit with your friends and you drink until you cry yourself to sleep. And that's what I did. And then, when I did the 60 day, I had another friend who had passed away. Fuck cancer, you know, and she had actually been there for me during everything I went through with Lindsay. Her name was Sarah. She was local from here, Sarah Holmes, and we worked together at Wild Wing Cafe, and we used to drink together all the time. And you know, and even like I stayed sober during the time of her passing, which will be 8 years next week, actually. And but then, you know, we all celebrated with Grand Marnier. We would just sip on Grand Marnier because that was something we would do when we get off work at 4 o'clock in the morning at Wild Wing. And but nobody saw that I had a problem. You know, like nobody else. Like, I would talk about it a little bit here and there, and they're all like, "No, you're fine. You don't have a problem. You know, you're not waking up and drinking all day and blah blah blah." But they didn't know that there were times I did do that. You know, like, there were times that I was so stressed out that I would wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and if I was the only person home, I would go and pull the vodka out of the freezer and I would take a shot. You know, and I was like, this is not right. This is not okay, you know. And so it was just I don't know, like, I mean, it just hit me one day. And so I had been drinking a lot. Like I said, we were going through a really tough time with my stepson. And he decided, he lived with us during those 3 years of the battle. And it was hard. And he was a teenager, you know. You know, teenagers are hard in general, but especially being your stepchild, and then all of the other stuff going on behind the scenes that he still doesn't know about. You know. And I just I came home, or, well, let's see, how does this go? He went to visit his mom. She had moved to California, and he went to visit her. And he texted my husband and said, "What would it take for me to move in with my mom?" And we had just finalized everything. Okay. Like, all the things finally finalized. He was living with us. Like, it was final. And he said he wanted to move there. And it was like, what the fuck? You know,
Right.
like, are you serious right now? Like, after everything we just went through. And so I just didn't understand. And that night, I had vodka was my drink. Okay, I mean, I would drink anything, but vodka was my main drink. And oftentimes I'd do the flavored vodkas. I was known, literally, I would go and buy a pack of the shooters. You know, or I wouldn't get a pack because I like to mix the flavors up because I'd get bored with one flavor. So I'd go in and buy a bunch of airplane shooters, all different flavors, and I would keep them with me, you know. But I was drinking a bottle of flavored vodka that night, like straight out the bottles, just taking shots. And And I got a little tipsy and I called him and was like, dude, what the hell? Like, what made this come about? And he tells me this story, and it's about a girl, it's always about a girl. And, and then I got like really frustrated with my husband. Like you should be working harder, standing up for yourself, fighting. And so I got angry and I started writing these things down, like on a piece of paper, like scribbling my anger out on this paper. Okay. So I end up passing out on the couch drunk. And Jonathan has to get up and go to work the next morning. And he wakes up and finds all this scribble, and is like, what is this? What the fuck is this? And then I wake up hungover, still drunk probably, and start arguing with him like, you should be stronger, you should fight, blah, 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 blah. And he left the house that day. And I mean, after, horrific argument, which was not uncommon for us in those days either. And I was like, dude, this is stupid. Like, I am so tired of this life. I am so tired of these arguments. Like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this for my life. And I said, I'm done. And I poured out the rest of the vodka that I had. And that was on October 18th of 2021. And I said, I'm done. And it was like a light switch. Like, literally, I fucking turned it off. And I felt great. I was nervous a little. Like I was just going to see how it goes. So let's see how this goes. Let's see what it's like to be sober. And let me even backtrack a little again. I get ahead of myself a lot. This happens.
Girl, please. I do that all the time.
A girl that I'm friends with on Facebook, her 1 year sober post was the same day that I went home and got drunk that night. And I was so inspired by her, but at the same time, I just didn't think I was ready. But that post really helped me to say, you know what, if she can do it, I can do it. And I don't even know her personally. We met through some MLM thing and just remained friends on Facebook, But I reached out to her and I told her that her story inspired me. And so at that point, I was like, I want to tell my story too, because if I've been touched by all of these other people telling their stories, then maybe my story can help somebody. And so I, at the 30-day mark is when I made my first post. I'm like, hey, it's been 30 days, y'all. I haven't drank in 30 days. And I don't plan to drink again. So let's just see what happens. I'll never say never. I'll never say never, because who knows? There might come a day that I think I can handle it, but I don't want to, like right now, I don't care. I don't want it. I still don't want it. But anyway, so I started sharing, and I shared probably the most in my first year, because it's kind of like you hit those milestones, you're like, I'm at 1 month, I'm at 2 months, I'm at 6 months, and people that, first of all, let me just say that of all the algorithms that will, you don't see this post and that post on social media, on Facebook specifically, they are all about sobriety, because I have had more posts, likes, and comments on my sobriety posts than on any other post, anything.
Yep.
And like, into the hundreds, and it's just makes me feel so awesome. It makes me feel so good that so many people see it, and so many people are like me. They are like how I was. They're like, I feel like I have a problem, and maybe I should stop drinking, but I just don't know how. And I'm just not ready. And like, just like with any substance, you have to do it for yourself. You have to be the one. You have to be ready. Like, nobody came to me and said, Andi, you have a problem and you need to quit. And even if they did, I would have been like, well, maybe one day. Or maybe I would have been like, see, I knew it. Somebody finally saw it besides me. But anyway, so I've just been like I said, it's been over 4 years. And I have had so many people who don't even like and comment, that come to my DMs and they're like, hey, how did you do this? And I'm like, I just did. Like for a while, I even felt some guilt. Like I felt guilty because so many people have to go to AA or find some other kind of program to help them. And I never did that, and I was like, damn, like it's harder for some people. And I was like, I just felt guilty. It was easy for me. And I was telling my best friend about this, and she's like, no, it wasn't. This wasn't easy for you. Are you kidding me? She's like, you talked about this for years before you did it. So what was easy about that? And so I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. I did think about it for years. So maybe it wasn't as easy as I thought it was. It was just when I made the choice, I made the choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are. But
I love it.
You worked the Andi program,
right,
which
exactly.
which is exactly what we literally talk about this every podcast. There is no one size fits all.
No,
never.
You don't have to do X, Y, Z. It's whatever works for you is what
Yep.
works. I love everything you said. You and I, very similar when we decided to quit. It was a mindset change of, I am not going to do this shit anymore. I'm not going to put whoever it is, through that ever again. And you made that decision. Whatever happened. But you knew that day you're not going to drink. And then you woke up the next day and said, I'm not going to drink. That's your program, and it worked. And I commend you on it. I think it's fucking phenomenal. I love it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
thank
you did find a community. Like
Yeah,
that's the thing
100%.
too, is
Yeah.
I found by talking to all of these different people, especially people who say, I didn't work a program. I agree with you, but you did. You don't
did.
even realize, because the foundation of it is all like accountability,
Yep.
honesty, commitment, realizing that you're powerless to this thing, and sort of that surrender. And, when you talked about the guilt, I get that because I quit drinking, it'll be 2
Coming up on
years
2
in
years, yeah.
June. And I, by societal standards, didn't have an issue with alcohol. And I could moderate, like I never had any like blackouts or anything like that. But I decided to quit because, people in my life were sober. And I thought, why do I want to partake in this thing that's about to destroy everybody? But I would tell Ryan, I'm like, I feel guilty. Even with this podcast at first, I was like, because there are all these people and they have these like really just heart-wrenching stories of like their kids or their parents, or we've had like veterans on here, and these stories of resilience and how they overcame, and how their addiction like took everything from them. And I feel like, what am I supposed to be like? Yeah, I just like quit one day, like just woke up and was like, no more. But I found that there is a place for everything, because it's not easy, especially when you work in a bar, especially when you are part of a band, especially when pretty much all of your friends were participating with you. And that's like part of every celebration, like if you're happy, you drink and you celebrate. If you're sad, you drink and you decompress. And especially becoming a mom and a wife, it's like, wine time and all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm going to circle back to when you were talking about your stepson. Like, I'm a stepmom too. And I totally get, I was really feeling you there, because being a step parent, you're in this, it's an under talked about role, right? Because you're in this parental role that you really have to like walk a line, because you're not a parent, but you are a parental figure. And it's so difficult. And, Ryan and I used to get in big arguments too about like, why are you not reacting to this? Like, why are you not doing something about this? What's wrong with you? And, I, same way, had to learn very quickly that you give advice, but you're their parent. Like
Right.
it's, and you love them so much. but it's so difficult, right, in those moments because you want to insert yourself, and it just is this extra layer. And, I got with him when his kids were little. So I went through the teenage years with them, and I have a daughter who's about to turn 15, going through the teenage years with her. And it is an emotional roller coaster. You never knew that you could love someone you despise so much when it comes to kids. And I say that, you never despise them, but it is such an emotional roller coaster. And when you reach out to other parents, especially other moms or stepmoms, it's like, let's meet up for wine, or let's have a book club with wine, or let's go listen to this cool band and we'll drink and we'll just talk and we'll just forget about it. And so it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
So to take you back to when you were doing hardcore drugs, because even though we talk a lot about alcohol on this podcast, it's really about any sobriety. So I have binge eating disorder, ADHD, all of these other things are all mental health related. So when you gave up drugs, right, and you're like, I'm going to get sober, did a lot of people in your circle not realize you didn't really have a drinking problem just because they're like, you got sober? What are you talking about? You have a problem. You're sober. You gave up drugs. Because I feel like too, we make it seem like quitting drugs is so much harder than quitting alcohol. And in a medical sense, the detox, but alcohol, I feel like, is the hardest thing to give up, even harder than drugs, because it is so accessible and people die getting sober from alcohol, but society switches it. So did you have a lot of that? Well, you're sober. Did you kind of feel like that too when you were drinking? I'm sober. I used to smoke meth. What are you talking about? I don't have a problem. This is normal.
Yeah.
How was that transition? And what did you feel, and what were other people's?
So I had actually moved to Michigan to be with my boyfriend that I did the drugs with. And in hopes that we would get sober. That was the whole plan. He had taken it further than I did. I thank God that I'd never got into opiates, because he did. Okay. And he is still in and out of jail. My friend actually shared a picture of him with us the other day, his senior picture. And so I looked him up yesterday just out of curiosity, and he was just arrested last week on the 22nd. And the photo of him is so sad. It is so sad.
Sucks.
But I was away from, I left it because it was here in Tennessee, and I moved there to be with him. And so I left the whole scene. I, got away from it completely. And then, I was up there with him and sober, because we weren't doing drugs anymore. And it was so weird. It was I quit, all those people that I was talking, including your brother,
Yep.
They were drug friends. That it was just about who you hang out with to do these things. But with alcohol, it's so much different, because everybody does it. When you're doing drugs, you got to be in certain behind closed doors,
Not meeting your friends at a bar to smoke meth, but you're totally meeting your friends at a bar to get drunk. Right.
Yeah. And so it was, some of those people have tried to contact me later in life. And, some of them I was close enough friends with that I let back in and saw that they didn't actually, change. And then I had to let them back out, and then some of them I was like, nah, you were my dealer, man. I didn't know you. We're not going to be friends.
We're not friends.
That was a different life, and I'm not about that. But getting sober from alcohol, I'm still all of my friends, my close friends, they all still drink. All of them. My husband still drinks. And it's it's different, but I don't, it doesn't bother me. I don't care, because it's the choice that I made to get sober from alcohol was mine alone. And so I don't care what you do with your life. Now, do I have some people that I worry about? I do have some people that I worry about. That's actually something that I wanted to bring up on this podcast because I don't even know how to go about it anymore. But you know, like I just, you know, I looked at myself, and you know, back then it didn't, like, I didn't, there was, back then there was no problem at all. I was just in my 20s living my life, you know, in my early 30s, even just living my life, becoming a mom, and the whole wine thing you were talking about and drinking, and you know, like, that was
Yep.
different. But then when I did get sober, like, you know, or when I was thinking about it anyway, before it even happened, I was like, I have been drinking the whole first 9 years of my son's life. Like, he does not know me without being a drinker. You know, now we wouldn't like go out and, you know, have a bunch of drinks and drive home from dinner or anything, but we drank at home, you know? So it was very common for him to see us drinking, you know, and he was 9 years old. And then I started to think I'm missing out on some of his life, like things that, you know, he might have said or done or something, you know, that I got drunk that night and I forgot about it or something. And I was like, I don't want to live like this in front of my child anymore, you know? That he was definitely a big part of that. So my son is 13 now. So he has, you know, like I said, the first 9 years of his life I was drinking and it was just normal. So I feel so honored and blessed that I was able to make that decision to stay sober for him, you know. And um
And he sees that. Like, that's the thing.
yeah.
And we've noticed that with our daughter. Like, I used to feel really bad because I was like, oh my gosh, I married someone who drinks to excess and gambles. I did exactly what I was taught not to do. How am I going to explain this to my daughter? I can't believe I did this. And I know that you had your own feelings about like being the one doing those things. But now I look at her and I'm like, listen, you've seen your Uncle Bubba get sober, my brother. You've seen your dad get sober. You've seen us do this podcast. You've seen all these things. And it's not that you're not going to have your own struggles, but you've seen what happens when people reach out and they get better and they work on themselves. So the way that we sort of talk about that with our daughter is if you ever are struggling with anything, it doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol, it can be anything. Always reach out, never alone. It doesn't have to be us. I mean, we want it to be us, but it doesn't. I know it's weird, but always talk to somebody. I promise it won't hurt anything. So your son sees that, I'm sure, that like, wow, like, mom, you're present. Like, you're not, and maybe he didn't know it at the time, but like, you're not so hungover that like you don't want to go do something today. Like, that's really cool.
Right. Yeah, because that was definitely a thing. Like, I would drink in excess to where I felt like crap the next morning. And boy, I don't miss that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
God,
do
no.
not miss that at all. It's
No.
so rare that I get headaches anymore. And, you know, I don't throw up anymore. Like, if I
Absolutely.
throw up, you know, there's a stomach bug or something. Like, it is, you know. And back then it was like, is this a stomach bug or am I hungover? You know, like, but yeah, I'm super grateful for that. But you know, talking to people, that is one of the things I wanted to bring up is that what I have experienced personally that is one of the hardest for me is that sometimes I've had this happen with 3 different friends now, who would reach out to me and open up. They tell me their story, and then when I try to reach back out, I'm ghosted totally. Like, I imagine that they're feeling some sort of shame or guilt because they want to quit, but they don't know how. And now they've told me their secret, you know, and now I know their secret. So if they continue to have a conversation or a relationship with me, then they just feel guilty. Like, maybe they even think I'm judging them or something, which I'm not. Like, I do have concerns. I have one friend who told me that they had been drinking to get drunk every day since our friend passed away 7 years. 7 years drinking to get drunk daily. And this person was concerned for their health because they knew that they could not do it on their own, you know, and that they would have to go to an in-person rehabilitation facility to do it because, I mean, like you said, you can die from
Oh,
quitting
yeah.
drinking.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
and this,
terrified about that with him. Yeah.
yeah, and this person knows that, and they straight ghosted me. I'm talking someone I've been friends with for 20 years. Okay.
Mm.
And then they reached back out to me when they went to get a job under the same restaurant, a different one, but through the same company that I work for. And so we chatted a little bit about that. And then they ended up quitting that job, but they told another friend that they got fired because I'm assuming they just don't have any accountability. And I do admit I'm super concerned for this person. Like
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, there was another girl that I used to work with that opened up to me and just never heard from her ever again. I reached out to her to check on her and just nothing. And it's like, I don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like, what do I do?
it sounds like, I've had similar situations, sounds just like yours, where I've had people reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, people I know, people that live locally here, and some people that don't. Maybe it's somebody that I met on Reframe, which is what, one of the things that helped me got sober. And all you can do is just check in on them. I came to find that out really quick. You can't save everybody.
No.
They have to want to better themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're the
Yeah.
ones that have to make the change. But doing a check-in, that's really all you can do. And that's what I'll do sometimes is drop a message just like, hey, just checking in and see how you're doing.
Yeah.
I do that in people that in passing, like, in the meetings that I go to, they're all virtual. There's no in-person meeting. And it may be somebody that reached out to me and they're just, maybe 30 days in and I haven't seen them in a meeting in a couple of weeks. And I'll just throw them a message, just say, hey, just checking in and see how you're doing. And it's really up to them how to respond.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do. You can't handcuff them and say, listen, you're going here. They
Right.
have to want to change.
I have
is at
a
the end of the day.
very interesting perspective on this
Okay.
subject.
Okay.
So I talk about this a lot because I have always identified as a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that, my brother was in active addiction for 20 years. I mean, when people ask him, so what was your drug of choice? And they name, he's like, all of the above. Yes. And so I've seen him get sober and I've seen Ryan get sober. And I didn't see this so much with my brother because he did the same thing that you did. Like, he moved out of Tennessee. He's like, the only thing in Tennessee for me are drug buddies. So he moved
Mm-hmm.
back to Texas, which is where we grew up, and he's still there. He doesn't have that same aversion to Tennessee anymore because he's like, 6 years sober, but he still doesn't want to live here. But with Ryan, since I was like in the house and saw him, we had similar situations where he got sober and he's doing his thing. And then there are people he cares about who are struggling. And the first thing I saw him do was almost try to be a sponsor for them. Like, well, I'm going to send you this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to check in and I'm going to do this and that and another. And of course, like, you do these things because you care about this person and you have drank the Kool-Aid now and you're on the other side and you're like, why do they like, you don't understand, you can do this. I did it, right? Because we think that we empathize with people when we have walked those struggles. So like, what? Listen to me. Like, I've been where you are. And those are all valid. But there is this fine line, right? And what you do is, like Ryan said, you check in on them and everything. But what I found is they're seeing those messages and they're hearing it.
100%.
And maybe not making the check-ins about their mental health. Don't make it about sobriety at all. Because I always tell people, we are not missionaries for sobriety. I am not trying to go out there and tell everybody we found the secret to life, All we do is provide a platform for people who want to tell their story. And we tell people, hey, if you're struggling and if this is something that you have even considered, we're here. And, even if it's just cutting back. So something, and my brother really helped me with this because when we were going through stuff with someone personal in our life, I'm like, I had all this animosity and anger because I'm like, they're hijacking my marriage and they're doing this. And my husband doesn't understand. He's trying to be this and he's not taking my advice. And, you know, he was like, just be like, hey, have you eaten today? Or I'm going X place for lunch. I was thinking about you. I heard the song, like, do you want to meet up for lunch? Or just offering some sort of assistance. And whatever your relationship is with them is going to be different, right? Like, you're not necessarily just going to say, hey, have you eaten today? But like, you know, a funny memory, sending a picture of like, I saw this today and it totally made me think about you. Because, and you reached out to me a while ago and I hadn't heard from you. Like, I would love to see you. Can we like hop on a FaceTime call? Or just anything, because, and this is something my brother told me. He said, if they get sober, or even if not, they'll be like, you know, I just remember you being there. Like, I remember you randomly thinking about me, and you never like asked me to get sober. You never asked me to change. You just were there no matter what. You were just there. And you know that when you are in that vulnerable place where you're using or you're drinking or whatever it is, and there's always that voice, you drown it out, but there's that voice, and you know what you're doing is not healthy. You know that that's not what you want to do. But people can feel so critical, right? And you feel like everyone is judging you, because what it is you're judging yourself and you feel like shit about yourself. So it's very far and few between people who are like, I'm not, I mean, I don't care if you're high or drunk. Like, that's not whatever state you're in. Like, I honestly just saw this and thought about you. Like, I just wanted to
Right.
know. And I always tell him, I'm like, when someone says to me randomly, like, I miss you, that means so much more to me than I love you. We tell people we love them all the time. But when you tell someone, like, I miss your face, it means that, like, I miss sharing time and space with you. And when you are in active addiction or just getting sober, you feel like you don't even want to share time and space with yourself. There's no way anybody wants to be around you like this. So you hide. So to let someone know, like, I miss you, like, I don't need the best versions of you. I just miss you. Like, I saw this and it made me think of you, no matter what that is. And in the end, it's not about helping somebody get sober. It's
Right.
letting them know, like, I love you. I mean, I don't care if you're strung out. Like, using doesn't make you a shitty person. You know, and that's the stigma we're trying to break too, is people who are struggling. I understand that they may do shitty things, but they're sick. You know what I mean? Like, they are seriously sick. You would not blame someone who has Alzheimer's for burning your house down. Like, they're sick. They're still a person worthy of dignity and respect, no matter what condition they're in. And it's hard, right? Because, you know what Ryan said, it has to be something that you choose to do, but it's not so much about helping them as it is about reminding them that
You're there if you need
I
them.
love you, and you
Don't set yourself on fire to keep
Yeah.
somebody else warm.
well, and that's
Right.
the
At
thing,
the end of the
is
day,
just
that's the
is
biggest
just
thing.
letting them know, like, listen, I may not be able to necessarily have a close relationship with you because I do have to prioritize my own sobriety, but like, you are deserving of respect and love, and multiple things can exist at the same time. You know, one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was the last time my brother showed up at my house all strung out, and he and Lily, our daughter, have always been like thick as thieves. And I had to put my body in the doorway as my daughter is crying and him outside and say, I love you. You cannot come here. I can't make you a sandwich. I can't wash your clothes. I can't give you a shower. I can't give you a bed to lay in. I cannot do that. I love you so much, but you have to go. I can't give you, I can't even give you water to drink. And it's not so much that I can't give it, it's that you can't be here. And it's not a place of conviction, because it was the hardest thing ever.
I can imagine.
But you get to a point with people where you're like, I cannot save you. Even if you wanted to, Andi, you can't. It is impossible.
Right.
And I've seen what happens when people don't get help, and I've seen what happens when people do. And yeah, you're always going to worry, but I find that people who have gotten sober, when they cross over into this place of a loved one, that's scary because you've never been that way. And it also brings up like, oh my gosh, is this what people like worried about me? I've seen him and he's like, Jess, like, I don't know how you put up with it. Like, how did you sleep? Like, I can't imagine, like, this is horrible. And everybody's like, this is worse than being on the other side because I'm fully aware of what's going on. And I know exactly what to do to fix it. And I'm like, but it's not yours to fix. They don't need to be fixed because they're not broken.
Right.
And so all you do is you just reach out and you say, hey, I'm here if you need anything. And I saw this and I thought of you and I miss you. And even if they never respond, they see it.
Yeah, because that's where I'm at right now. Like I've sent messages to this person and they just don't respond. I even saw this person in person for the first time in a really long time a couple weeks ago. And I was like, oh, hey, how's it going? And they were like, hey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? 20 years?
It's
20 years?
Yeah, it's an embarrassment. And I'll say too that it's a really good sign that these people are reaching out to you. Like, even if they reach out and ghost you, or even if they reach out and they're like, fuck you, or whatever it is, the fact that they reached out initially is good because it means that they, at least at one point, were like, I'm going to reach out to somebody, because that alone will hold them accountable. Because how many times did you try to get sober or want to get sober? I know this one over here got sober. I'm using air quotes here, or whatever. And I'm sure you wanted to at the time, but it takes multiple times. So I will say that the fact that they're reaching out at all and saying I have a problem, that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
Because it means it's there. That seed is there. So just keep checking in and showing up no matter what. But I also agree with Ryan, like, you cannot put all of your energy into fixing people. And trust me, if I could fix people, my mother would still be alive, right? Like, I tried to fix my brother. I tried to fix this one. I have tried to fix everybody. And the only time they got sober was when they wanted to.
Right.
They wanted to.
Yeah.
And it's
I
hard.
know. It is hard. And I know that. I even said that. It's like I know that. But it's just when you see them and they look away and then they, just ignore you, and it's like, this sucks. But again, I can't waste my life and my time on them, because I have my own life to live, and I've got my family and my work and my music, and I have to do for me. And I'll just continue to message these people and tell them that I love them and I'm thinking of them. I literally had a photo memory of our babies come up the other day, and I sent it, and I was like, look at our babies. Like, my son is now 5'9" and 160 pounds.
Wow.
I'm like, how are they not babies anymore?
And that's what it is, right? Because those memories, those good times, they don't get erased.
Yeah.
They don't go away. And it's just, gosh, it's so hard. It's so hard. But I always say, as long as somebody has air in their lungs, there's hope for them. But it is on them, as tough as that sounds. And depending on the relationship, it gets to a point where with my brother, this, it was 20 years. It was 20 years of bailing him out and helping him until the end, when I was like, no more. But he was probably the worst addict I've ever seen in my life. And you know that, Andi. So it's, you never know what somebody has going on. But you're making a difference. If somebody ignores you or ghosts you, it's because seeing you, it just kind of amplifies. Like when we tell people I don't drink and people are like, oh, you're no fun anymore. I'm like, is that really how you feel? Or you're just like, it makes you feel bad for drinking? Because we're the same way. I don't care if you drink. People are like, is it okay if I have a beer? I'm like, yes, I don't give a shit if you drink.
I've definitely got a couple of friends that do that. They're like, I go to a party that, every year with my friends, and I used to be the only one sober. There's another girl that is part of that group that also got sober. She's a little behind me. But I have like some friends would be like, Andy, I feel so bad for drinking in front of you. And I'm like, I don't give a shit
That's right.
what you
Who
No.
do.
cares?
I'm like,
Well,
and like
and
I
really
said,
what
I
it is it just
literally,
makes them feel bad for drinking.
right. And, I'm bartending again. Like I didn't bartend for years, but it just kind of, that's just what I do. It's what I know. One day, maybe I'll find a career that I can do that's for me, that's outside of restaurants. I hope that I do, because good God.
Singing.
Well, and I do that, but it doesn't pay my bills.
Right.
Like it might pay a little bit here and there. Like we're about to do a kitchen remodel, and I'm like, I'm going to put aside everything I make from the band and put it back into that. But it's just not enough, and,
Yeah.
but maybe I could find a way to be a session singer or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I'm learning, girl. I'm 45 years old. And I am learning about things I never knew about, like the mixed belt. I didn't know what that was or it existed. And I don't know how to get there. I'm trying right now. I'm working on it. It is hard.
It is hard. Singing is
I'm like,
hard, but it's amazing.
it
And you're
is.
really, really fucking good at it.
Oh,
Extremely good.
thank you. Thank you.
One
hope-
thing I wanted to circle back to, talking about, when you came out like 30, you did 30 days and you put it out there to everybody, and you get the likes and you get the messages and everything from everybody, and you get that sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't work a program, but obviously community was big to you. And I'm sure it still is today, because like you said, you have a very good friend who's not that far behind you, that followed you in the same type of journey in their own. So how has the community really helped you out throughout these 4 years? Especially because, you're in a band, you're at bars all the time, you're a bartender. Do you still rely on that community to keep you where you're at today?
I mean, I love to know that they are there. But honestly, I'm not like super close with any of them.
Gotcha.
Like we're friends and we're acquaintance, mostly through social media, because that's the only way anybody communicates anymore. But like I love seeing other people post their stories, and I'm always, cheering them on and rooting for them. But it, it it hasn't been like, I don't have like a community like tight knit, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I mean, I'm never alone in this ever.
And that's the important thing I wanted to get, because I know, you were saying you didn't have like this huge community, but you do.
You have
You
a
know,
whole
Right.
sober as fuck community
That's
now.
right. You got you
Yeah.
actually have a big network of people, which is great. And one of the things I try to do is, I've built a community, but I like seeing somebody sober for 30 days, 2 weeks, a week, a year, to me is just fucking awesome. And I tell them how amazing that is.
Mm-hmm.
And for a couple reasons. Number one, I want them to feel kind of like what you did at 30 days, to be like, man, I can do this. But the other thing too is, I think, man, I never want to go back to that. I do not
Right.
want to go to 7 days, because
Yeah.
I remember what that bullshit was like, and I never want to do that again. So I
Yeah.
really think it's twofold, because like you said, when you see somebody do that, man, that sparks something in you. It gives you a little hit.
It
But
does.
I'm sure in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, I don't want to white knuckle that shit anymore either.
Right.
I have an idea.
No.
So we had a previous guest on the podcast, and she has a sober bar in Maryville.
Yep.
Daisies.
Ooh, Daisies. I've seen about that.
She
but
was a guest on our podcast. So what
Okay.
I suggest that we do, and it'll be on the record, is we've been wanting to do more stuff in the community and have more like events and things like
Do
that.
remotes.
And do live streams. Ryan's an ambassador for Athletic, and so we can get all the NA beers and stuff like that. And we should totally reach out to her, and you and the band can come and perform, and we'll be there, and we can live stream and
Yes.
record you performing and do a whole like sober meetup and meet all sorts of sober people. I think
I would
that
love
sounds good.
that. Yeah. Now, if I could get my guys sober to play. that is another question. One of my guys doesn't drink, but you know, and again, but it doesn't bother me that they drink as long as
No.
as long as the alcohol doesn't start to affect their playing,
Yeah.
you know, because that, you know, this is it's a business. I did not know I was running a business. Like, holy cow.
You're
I'm
like,
like,
wait a minute,
I'm gonna start a
wait.
band. I want to sing in a band. And then I'm like, shit, man, I gotta make these guys I gotta 1099 them, like, you know, so I'm not paying their taxes. And but I would absolutely love that. I've been wanting to
Yeah.
make it out there, and I find myself in Maryville more these days than ever because um I've joined another band that's a side project called American Soundtracks. We just missed our first show because of the snow. We were supposed to have played Saturday, but this is a really fun thing too that you guys should check out. But we do songs from mostly 80s and 90s movies and play a clip of the movie during the performance.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
And so that's a lot of fun. And that's where I started to learn about that mix belt. I'm like, I'm sorry, you want me to sing Celine Dion? What? And every time I go to sing it, and I'm even trying the ways that I'm learning from this vocal coach that I'm following to learn how to do your mixed belt, and I'm like,
it's
this
hard.
song, man. Like,
it's hard. But when you get it,
hard.
you can feel it. And it's just hard to stay there. That's amazing. And that's the thing about, like, you know, obviously any of the guests that we have on the podcast, we require them to be sober for obvious reasons. But when we do like events and stuff, you don't have, I mean, it's not for sober people. It's, you know, come
everybody.
in and hang out and try these non-alcoholic beers and just see what this world is about, because there are a lot of people who have no desire to quit drinking, but they're like, you know, what if someone's pregnant, you know, and they want to go and they're like, I still want to have a beer. Or what if somebody is a designated driver? Or, you know, there are many, many, many reasons why people would, you know, choose a non-alcoholic beer or drink other than just sobriety. And that's something, you know, outside of the podcast that we really like to do too, is, hey, like, we're not trying to say everybody needs to quit drinking. We're just saying that even if it's just for one night or whatever reason, like, if you're down, like, come and try these and see how this is. And I mean, I love going to bars, and with you being a bartender, you'll appreciate this, and being like, can your bartender whip me up something creative, a non-alcoholic drink that's not like I don't need something that's like, you know, sugar juice, but depending on what you have back there, like, get creative. And sometimes they're like, we just don't have the things to make much, and that's fine too. But even just asking, it puts it out there, right? It put, like, more and more bars are offering non-alcoholic spirits, non-alcoholic drinks, non-alcoholic beers for a variety of reasons. So with these meetups and things like that, it's not so much about promoting sobriety as it is about, you know, this is a really good non-alcoholic beer, and then people drink it and I'm like, yeah, I could totally like drink these.
Yeah.
So
I know.
when you're talking about your bandmates, like, I mean, as long as they're not drunk while they're performing there, then, I mean, but it's not about that, you know?
Right.
And speaking of your band, how have you noticed, you know, because I knew you back when you drank and sang. How have you noticed a difference in your singing?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I did think about that earlier. Like, I can recall when I had my duo back in the day, and you know, we were having fun and we were drinking, and I was like, we sound great, you know, and I go back and watch some video and I was like, oh my God. Oh
yeah,
Lord,
you'd be singing that Celine Dion, being like, I hit it, and then the next day you'd be like, whoa.
So yeah, what a difference it makes to be sober for an entire show and not just the first set, you know. Like, I you know, like I said, I'm mid 40s, and I think that my voice is better now than it's ever been, ever, you know, not in my teens, not in my 20s, not in my 30s, but right now. And you know, I like, it's my passion, it's what I love, and it, you know, even though I'm only out there doing covers, like, I'm doing covers that people love and they sing along with it, and I can go back and watch videos and listen, and it is less likely that you're going to hear those off key notes, you know. I mean, it still happens occasionally, but you know, like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I get to do this, and I get to go and do what I love to do, and I do it sober now, because it just, even though I had a lot of fun with it when I was drinking, as a performer, I definitely, my performance, my vocal have both improved since I have quit.
Well, and
That's
it's
good.
Hands
like
down.
you said, it's a business. So not only do you love it, but when you love something, you're like, I need to be sober and present because I want to give my best. I want to know what my
I
vocal
want
cords
more
are doing.
gigs.
I need control over my diaphragm. And maybe if I have an off night, rather than being like, whoa, like I was drunk, I can be like, okay. And you can learn and grow from it, right? Because you can take note. Like, I don't care who you are as a singer or performer, not every night's gonna be a
That's
banger.
right.
Okay, like sometimes you're gonna be like, I don't know what the hell is wrong with my voice,
Oh
and
God.
there's hormones that play into it, and the atmosphere, and what, there's so much. But singing, even though I don't do it in any facet anymore, it is my favorite thing in the entire world to do. You can ask this guy right here. Like, I love to sing, and every single day I look at myself and I think, why am I not singing in some capacity? Like, how am I not doing this? And like listening to you talk about it, I'm just like, I've got to do something.
You've
So,
got to, girl. I was lost. Like, I quit music. I had an incident that happened, and I, my duo partner and I split up, and I didn't want to sing anymore. Like, I didn't think I would sing ever again. Like, it was ugly, and that just happened to also be during the same time as I was going through all that stuff. So
mhm.
it was like double, coming at me every which way, when during that time with my stepson, that I quit music, and
Mm.
I didn't perform for 5 years. And I mean, I was missing a part of me. Like,
Mhm.
I was literally missing a part of me. And I got up and sang. I was working at Calhoun's in Lenore City. This summer will be 4 years ago. And Dave Landio, I don't know if you ever remember Dave. He used to live around here, and he still comes and sings here, although he lives in South Carolina. And I like to give him props because he let me come up and sing with him. I've known him since I was like 20 years old, and he would always let me sing with him. And I got up and sang 2 songs with him out at Calhoun's, and it lit me up. Like, I was on fire. That was the day that I started looking for a band, and it took a long time. It took a long time to find the right people, and get it together. And we rehearsed forever. Okay, over
Mhm.
a year. Over
Oh
a year
wow.
before we made it out to public, because I am like, it has to be like, I won't even sing a karaoke song if I don't know the whole song. If I
Oh
don't know it. Like,
God,
I'm
that
not.
sounds like me.
I'm
He's like, just get up there. Who cares? It's karaoke. I'm like, absolutely not.
So listen, Jess, you've gotta do it, and don't let it. I know you're a fabulous singer too, so don't let it keep sliding by. If you're feeling it, if you feel that void in you like I did, then figure out how to do it, even if it's joining a local choir.
Mhm.
Because there's enough of them. They're around.
Oh
And
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did performing arts my entire life. So, dance and musical theater and all the things. So, you're just going to have to let me sing with you. Okay. You're just going to have to put me
absolutely.
up on stage and we'll perform and we'll sing something fantastic. It'll be great.
I look
Um,
forward to that.
to segue into, did you have anything else you wanted
No,
to
I was just
talk
going to
about?
say I'm looking to fill a void in my life right now. I need a funny story.
Yeah, you are a funny guy. Um,
Uh,
so to segue into the last question of this podcast, take us back, and it could be when you were doing drugs, it could be when you're drinking,
oh
it could be when you're
gosh.
performing. Look, I don't know exactly, but I know there were some funny times. Okay,
Oh
for the
yeah.
first time, I can say I was there. Okay. Um, but tell us just some funny stories, because no matter what, like,
Oh
you
man.
have to laugh at yourself, otherwise you just won't make
That's
it.
right.
And some of
Right.
our best memories are from when we were drinking. Are you
Oh
kidding?
yeah. I do. Speaking of karaoke, I do remember that I went to oh shit, what was that bar called? Dog something dog over off North Shore. Dog House or something. Do you remember? I don't know.
Yeah,
Either
it
way,
was
I
the
remember going
doghouse.
going there for karaoke, and I remember saying, "Don't." I signed up to sing. Oh my gosh, Salt and Pepper, and I
I've
was
done
like,
that.
but do not let me sing this until after midnight because I knew I'd be good and lit after midnight. I was like, I cannot do this song until I have already been drinking for a couple of hours. And I remember doing that, and I know that I just sucked it up real hard, but it was definitely a lot of fun. But I remember this one time when I was living in Michigan. I don't know why this is what came to me. There was not much in Michigan, but I lived on the border of South Bend, Indiana. And I remember going out with my girlfriend, and we went to a gay bar and to see a drag show
The
one
best.
night, and we were getting ready to leave, and I was like, oh my god, I have to pee, like, I have to pee so bad. And we're like, literally, there's nothing around, like, there's, I mean, I'm sure there were trees or cars we could have stood by, but no, me and her both squatted in the grass, like, just right outside of this club, and just started peeing, and then fell into it because we couldn't hold ourselves up because we were so drunk. So I'm like sitting in my pee and her pee, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so gross. But we were dying laughing because
Oh my
it was
God.
hilarious.
You didn't back to back it, huh?
Right? What were we thinking? We were side by side instead of back to back. We could have held each other up, but that was an
And peeing
opportunity
outside
missed
as a
right there.
girl is already hard enough, right? Like squatting, you
Right.
already get piss all over yourself. So to fall
I
in it, you're just
know.
like,
Oh,
oh
God.
my God.
And it was just, oh well, it is what it is.
Did anybody see? Was there
Yeah.
anybody else there?
Oh, there were definitely people walking out that
Yeah.
that saw it, but nobody cared because they were all
Yeah.
drunk too,
Yeah,
and they were
that's
just
right.
like, "Ha, look at them."
I've done some
Great.
questionable things in gay bars too, so I understand with my brother.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
We
a
won't
good
we
one.
won't get too
That's
much
great.
into those days.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Falling in your pee. I don't think we've had a
And
story
your
about
friends pee.
somebody
Yeah.
falling into pee. That's
Puddle
a
of pee.
good one. That's a hard one to
That's
top,
awesome,
Andy.
Andy.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh
That's a good
yeah.
one.
Well, Andy, thank you so much for
been
joining us on the
fantastic.
podcast.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it, and it's so glad. And I'm sure we're going to come out and see you locally, which is even better. Go ahead and plug the
Yes.
band again, real quick, and where everybody can find you.
Yeah. High School Reunion is the name of my band. Find us on Facebook, search under Pages. And depending on if we know, and if you know anybody, so if you're out of state, you probably won't. You might have to scroll. But oftentimes it pops up because other like the venues have tagged us. So
Cool.
we're up to 1,165 followers, and that makes a
Nice.
difference. That it really
It
makes
does.
a difference. Like when you have more followers, more people find you. So my page is easier to find now.
Awesome.
Eventually I'll make other websites and other socials, but that's eventually. So until
It's
then,
hard.
it's just Facebook. Find us on
Great
Facebook
start.
and give us a follow and come check us out here locally.
We will, and we'll
Awesome.
include you on all our stuff too, so we'll
Yep.
make it even
Aw,
easier to follow. But we
thank
love you. I love you. I'm
I
so
love you.
fucking proud of you.
Very proud of you, Andy. It's
And
awesome.
next time my brother visits, we all need to go out and have
Yeah.
dinner. He comes at
Yes.
least 3-4 times a year, and that
Because
would
I
just
would
be
love
great.
to see him. It has been
He's
like
doing
so many
good.
years. Too many
He's doing
years.
so good. And he and my
Yeah.
daughter are so close. I third wheel it everywhere. Like it's just beautiful.
Aw, I love
Mhm.
that. I love that.
Well, we love you, Andy,
Yep.
and thank
I
you for
love you
sharing your
too.
story.
Yes. Thank you for coming
Thank
on and talking. We
you. Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me. Have a
Of
great day.
course.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
And hit that notification bell to get
Boom.
notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby.